Thank you for calling the Afterlife Hotline, your one-stop shop for all things spooky, weird, and possibly cursed. Press 1 for ghost stories that will ruin your sleep schedule. Press 2 for paranormal mysteries we definitely won't solve. Press 3 to speak to a demon. Just kidding, unless... If you're still here, congrats. You've officially ignored all the red flags. And now you're stuck with us. Hope you like bad jokes and spooky stuff. This is the Afterlife Hotline. Boo!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Whenever you are watching or listening.
This is the Afterlife Hotline. I'm Denisha.
I'm Ashley.
And this is episode 17.
Yes, we are so excited. 3 away from 20. 3 away from season 2.
Hell yeah.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
We should do something special for our season 2 episode. I don't know what we'll do, but...
Ooh, we're going to have to put some thought into that one. Make it a really good one. Not like any of them other ones are not good, but you know.
What's your favorite one we've done so far?
To be completely honest, I really, really do like our ChatGPT stories. The one where it was the, is it Gerald?
Yeah, in the vending machine.
In the vending machine.
Yeah.
Just the vibe of that whole one was great because the stories were just so freaking funny.
I think the ChatGPT ones, and then even though I know this one isn't a very popular one for our listeners, but the vampires one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just because I loved being able to do kind of all the research on the history of vampires and stuff. Speaking of vampires, though, I will note this. We went to Barnes & Noble the other day, and
I saw. I was creepy.
Nosy.
I was creepy. Just like you knew I went to Marshall's the other day. When we're not with each other, we're stalking each other.
Honestly. But at least we don't get offended.
That's true.
Anymore.
Shut the fuck up. Proceed.
But they had, in the spiritual section, they had a new vampires book that I hadn't seen before. And it wasn't very big, but it had the history of it. And I don't think, because I had one before, but it was definitely geared towards kids. And I don't think this one was because it was in the spiritual section. By the way, they only had the 2 of your tarot cards. And I think you have both of those. Do you have?
No, I only have one from that collection.
Damn.
Or
Season of the Witch Oracle?
Seasons of the Witch Oracle. If you guys are into tarot, oracle cards, whatever, that whole set of all the different oracle decks, beautiful. They have holographic edges, and they are amazing.
They are really gorgeous.
They're very pretty. I want to collect them all, thanks to a TikToker who I love so much and been influenced by. But they're just so pretty.
They are really pretty.
I like a good aesthetic oracle deck or tarot deck.
What's crazy to me though is because you were telling me about those, showed me those, and then Chris picked the mirror oracle for me in New Orleans, and it's got the holographic edges, even though they're not even.
Yeah,
so
yeah. They're just so pretty.
They are.
I love it.
But today's episode, if we haven't said, because I'm not 100% sure
I don't think we have even said what today's episode is yet.
Arkansas specific urban legends or myths.
Yes.
So I think these are a little bit of some haunted places, some potentially spooky places.
Places I would love to go and investigate and go check out. Because I don't think any of these are really like too far away from us.
No. I think the furthest happens to be the one in Fayetteville.
Oh, I take that back. This one is in Northwest Arkansas. Oh, it's never mind. Hold on. The other one that I was doing. This one is in Gurdon. That's like Southwest Arkansas. I had to do the little compass in my head.
We should do eventually, whenever we're at that point, we should do episodes in like spooky spots around Arkansas.
Yeah.
But like go to those episodes and make it like a little series.
Yeah. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Battle of Pea Ridge.
I'm
never heard about this one before.
Yeah, I've never heard of this one.
The year was 1862. The air was thick with smoke and death. The Battle of Pea Ridge raged across the wild terrain of northwest Arkansas. Union forces clashing with Confederates in a 2-day storm of blood, bullets, and cannon fire. Over 23,000 soldiers fought at Pea Ridge on March 7th and 8th of 1862.
Damn.
Many of these soldiers were from small towns and had never traveled more than a few dozen miles from home before they joined the army. They were farmers, merchants, teachers, mechanics, lawyers, and countless other occupations before enlisting as volunteer soldiers. Many joined for patriotic reasons, to preserve the embattled Union or to defend their homes, while others sought to escape the boredom of life in a small town. I cannot imagine being bored enough that I just want to go enlist in the military.
No.
That is not something I would want to do to...
Nothing against
No.
anyone who enlists.
No. My dad was in the military for 20-something years. Nothing against it. I just can't be... I guess at that time there wasn't really many other options, but
that's true,
I just can't imagine being bored enough to be
it's
like, I'm just going to go enlist in the military.
It's not like they can doom scroll TikTok or anything, so...
It's probably a good thing. So some went with heads filled with dreams of glory, while others did not want to be considered cowards. No one thought that this was to be a long and bloody war. The Battle of Pea Ridge is not just about generals and tactics, but about the soldiers who fought here on both sides. It is about the civilians who had their homes and fields destroyed by conflict and the communities left behind to survive in a lawless countryside once the armies left. The Union victory at Pea Ridge was pivotal. It helped secure Missouri for the Union and opened the door for a deeper push into the Confederate territory. The terrain played a key role in the fight. Dense forests, rocky ridges, and winding trails that confused and disoriented soldiers on both sides. The chaos of the battlefield echoed through the hills then, and some say it still does. So it's like kind of the, what is that called? My brain's not braining this morning.
Gettysburg?
No, residual hauntings.
Yeah, like the residual energy and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also curious to know, because in the last episode you did me learn it about like quartz and stuff like that. I'm wondering if they're near any quartz like hubs.
I would not be surprised if they were, because a lot of Arkansas has a lot of quartz pockets and stuff. I mean, there's even quartz out at my parents' house in the ground.
One of the people that Chris and his, I almost said Chris and his husband.
Christopher? I knew y'all were in a lavender marriage.
Chris and his dad.
Makes it even worse.
Chris and his dad, they do some AC units and housework for a guy, and he's got quartz. That's where like these two came from.
He's out on a ridgeline though, like a mountain. Yeah, it seems to be a common thing, because like in mom and dad's yard, I mean, they have a yard, there's grass, because dad's like worked really hard at making the grass grow, but you go down a few inches and it's all clay and rock and quartz. I think it's just an Arkansas thing.
It is the natural state.
So more than 2,000 men never left that battlefield, and some say they never left at all. Visitors to the Pea Ridge National Military Park report strange things. Apparitions of soldiers in tattered uniforms, standing in formation at dawn, the smell of gunpowder on the breeze, footsteps crunching on dry leaves when no one is there. One of the most commonly reported paranormal experiences at Pea Ridge involves the unmistakable sound of musket fire echoing across the battlefield. Visitors walking the trails have often paused, startled by sharp, distinct cracks that seem to come from nowhere. The reports are consistent, single shots followed by the faint sound of battle, like an echo trapped in time. These phantom gunshots are most frequently heard at night, long after the park has emptied. I wonder if you could still go. I guess you could still go in the park after it's dark. Because some of these places you can't.
Yeah.
Some visitors have described standing in the silence of the battlefield only to be jolted by the sudden report of a musket, followed by an eerie stillness. Park rangers, while careful not to promote ghost stories, have quietly acknowledged that the sounds are not uncommon and remain unexplained. So they know it's haunted.
Mm-hmm.
For many, the experience is more than just an auditory anomaly. Some claim that the gunshots are accompanied by a sudden drop in temperature, as if the battlefield itself momentarily slips back into its wartime past. Whether one believes in the supernatural or not, the reports of ghostly gunfire are difficult to ignore. Perhaps the most chilling encounter at Pea Ridge involves the sighting of ghostly soldiers. These apparitions are often described as fleeting figures in period uniforms, have been spotted along the park's trails and near historic landmarks like Elkhorn Tavern.
We're going to have to go to this tavern.
Agreed. So one particular eerie account comes from a group of hikers who, while exploring the park near sunset, saw what appeared to be a lone soldier standing at attention by a tree. Assuming it was a reenactor, they approached, only for the figure to fade away before their eyes. Shaken, they left the park convinced that they had encountered one of the battlefield's lingering spirits. I don't know how I would react if I was to walk up to somebody thinking they were real, and then all of a sudden just...
They just poof. Disappear, yeah.
Oh,
I think I would shit my pants.
Honestly. And going back to the Elkhorn Tavern, it served as a makeshift hospital soaked in pain and blood. Tourists report seeing flickering lantern lights in its windows long after the park has closed. A shadow at the top of the stairs, a voice soft and pleading, asking for water. One visitor claimed that they heard muffled cannon fire echoing from the woods on a still afternoon. Another, a Civil War reenactor, said he felt someone march in step beside him, boots hitting the trail, though no one was there. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, especially the one asking for water.
Yeah, because it was a hospital and they were just asking for water. And then the guy who's like a reenactor just marching along, and then all of a sudden he feels like someone's beside him marching along. They probably thought that they were...
Yeah, buddy system. And
that's so sad. So some believe these soldiers are still fighting, still searching, still bleeding into the soil where they fell. They say if you walk the trails alone, you never are truly alone.
Which would make sense to the guy who was doing the reenactment, too, because he wasn't alone.
He was walking with his buddy. Oh.
That's sad.
It is very sad. But it makes me want to go there because how Dad and I really want to go to Gettysburg.
Yeah.
But this one's more local.
Well, and that would be a really good, like, kind of like test the waters kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Plus, I think he would appreciate that anyway, since he's a history buff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too.
You're not allowed to go without me.
He probably, yeah, you can go. He probably doesn't even know about this place. I'm gonna have to tell him now.
Yeah.
And he'll probably want to go there before we go to Gettysburg.
You shouldn't tell him. You should just tell him to watch the episode.
Be like, hey, Dad, you have to watch this next episode. And there's a place that I want us to go, and I'm going to have you guess which one. You got to watch the whole episode. My poor father. I love him so much. We put out a teaser yesterday. It's just a little short reel. And it just happened to be about the story of whenever we went camping. You'll have to watch it to see it. And he messaged me. He goes, how do I watch the whole thing? I can only watch a little bit of it. And I was like, Dad, that's just a short reel. I was like, the full episode comes out at 4, and it was like 3 something. And he was like, well, you can't do that to me. You can't put this out and tease me like that. I was like, that's the whole point, Dad. I said, but you can go and watch at 4 o'clock whenever it comes out. He goes, one of y'all is going to have to tag me in it so that way I can go back and watch it.
Even though he literally lived that too.
Poor thing. I love him.
He's the best. Oh man. So my one, I don't think is near as emotional as the.
Good. We needed something a little bit more.
and then the name really struck me with this one. This one is the Tilly Willie Bridge.
I've never heard of this bridge.
Nestled just outside of Fayetteville, Arkansas, lies a stretch of road that once crossed the now legendary Tilly Willie Bridge, a place shrouded in whispers, warnings, and the weight of haunting that refuses to be forgotten. And I have found pictures.
Oh, good.
And then I put them in Discord for you.
Perfect.
Legend has it that in 1970s, a woman overcome by grief or madness drove her car off the bridge, plunging herself and her children into the dark waters below. All of them died. Since then, locals claim her ghost still lingers. The bridge may have been demolished in 2010 and replaced by a new structure in 2012, but according to some, the haunting stayed behind.
Yeah, it's going to be the land, not necessarily the structure.
Before it was known for ghost stories, the Tilly Willie Bridge had a practical purpose. Built in the early 1930s, it was meant to help control flooding. Not even originally designed to be a bridge, it was a dam.
Oh.
That didn't stop people from driving across it or dying while trying to do so.
Oh, so there's more than just one ghost that haunts that bridge.
Yes.
Okay.
And the picture that I found, it looks like it was concrete, like square openings for the water to go through, and then just a couple of those put together to block off and only have 2 streams.
Oh, okay.
So not very secure, not very well built.
Yeah.
One of the earliest settlers in that area was Matilda Wilson Ford. Locals say her name may have inspired the bridge's nickname, Tilly Willie, rolling off the tongue easier than Tilda Wilson, which is what she would have been nicknamed.
Oh, okay.
Over time, Matilda's name blurred with the myths as folklore and tragedy merged into the legend. Herman Jones, the current landowner, acknowledges the structure's eerie past. Though intended as a dam, it became a crossing point. One of the more documented incidents involves a University of Arkansas student who drove off the bridge, surviving but not unscathed.
Oh.
Yet the most infamous tale remains of the doomed mother and her children, a story that has resisted confirmation from any official records. Now, I will say, the University of Arkansas student, I don't know why, It's not in here because I did read it. Alive, broke his neck.
Oh, he's still alive.
He's still, well, he might not be depending on when it happened. I'm not sure, but he broke his neck.
So he was probably just paralyzed. Well, I mean, you can live with a broken neck as long as it doesn't sever anything.
He recovered. But still, the ghost stories persist. Ronnie, and I'm going to pronounce this last name wrong, I'm sure, Caveness?
Okay, that's what it looks like.
A Fayetteville local swore he was a skeptic until the night that he visited Tilly Willie Bridge with a group of kids. He says, it was a calm, still night. There was no fog, but the second we hit the bridge, the temperature dropped at least 10 degrees. Ronnie and his group heard knocking and then the voice of a woman. We ran, he said. When we developed the photos later, a white orb hovered right where we stood. And I do have a picture of that.
Ooh.
Another visitor, Christina Lawrence from Rogers, remembers the feeling well. It was definitely creepy, the kind of place made for ghost stories, and with the history, it just felt wrong. Online forums painted a mixed picture, however. Some call the stories pure urban myth, pointing out the lack of newspaper clippings, death records, or police reports.
Replace for parts.
Or police reports. The tale, they say, has evolved over the decades. In the 1950s, it was a woman distracted by her son in a Model A. In the 70s, it was a father driving off the bridge with his family, and now it's a woman and her daughters. But not everyone is convinced that it is just folklore. One visitor recounted an especially chilling encounter, and I found these from ArkansasHauntedHouses.com. It's just a huge online forum where you can go and talk about put on haunted houses like Fear Factory or like haunted locations.
Ooh, I have to check into that website now.
They had unknowingly parked their CRV directly on what seemed to be a pentagram hidden by the gravel. Shit. The atmosphere shifted. Crying could be heard. Their St. Christopher pendant, which is the saint of travels.
Isn't that what you have in your car?
Mm-hmm. And what Chris wears around his neck. Once tightly wrapped, was found on the floor. The niece began rocking back and forth and whispering, "He's here. He's at the window. He won't go."
Oh, shit.
When they returned to town, they found a hoof and hand-like prints covering the car, etched into the glass, and the voice on their recording, a woman, faintly whispering, "Save us all." The audio never played again.
A hoof?
A hoof.
Satan.
Could be.
Interesting.
Phantom headlights, green figures crossing the creek, windows fogging up on clear days, and the unsettling sensation that you're not alone, even in broad daylight. So, is Tilly Willie Bridge simply another Southern ghost story? Twisted, retold across generations, or something still waiting in the shadows in Fayetteville? That is up to you.
Interesting. There's been a lot of places that have bridges that have had mothers die with their children.
I think it's a common thing that, I think that's one of the things when things get twisted and told a bunch of times, like a game of telephone.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be the running shtick, is that a woman is grieving and she drives off the bridge, whether by herself or with her children. Because that's even an episode of Supernatural where a woman had drowned her children and then drowned herself, and then she was trying to get back home to her children. So it's always a woman and child kind of thing.
Because there's a lot of paranormal entities that are women that are shrilling, that are screaming, that grieving, are crying and grieving, like
or angry.
Like there's the one that's from Mexico. It's La
Llorona.
Who?
La Llorona.
Yeah, that one. Isn't she grieving for children? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a common thing. That's very sad though. Oh. Yeah, I want to go there. I want to go.
I mean,
check it out.
I literally.
But you say there's like an actual bridge there now?
Yeah, there's an actual like typical bridge there now.
And people can drive over it?
People can drive over it now. So this is what the bridge used to look like.
That I would,
See what I mean?
I can understand why it would be very easy for someone to...
Yeah, well, let me zoom. That's the orb he was talking about.
Oh my God.
And then this right here.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
And now you let me do it.
I think it did it on your... Was it on your pat? Oh, what the fuck?
I think I clicked zoom in.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I'm glad that they put the guardrails things up now. But yeah, no. I wouldn't want to drive over that. That's scary.
So that's what it used to be. And then they demolished it in 2010. And then now it's,
An
actual bridge.
Two-way. Yeah, because that first one was a one-way for sure. And now it's a two-way. Okay. So this next one is kind of sort of sad, but it's still like a lot of up in the air on what it could be. But definitely a place that I would like to go and investigate and check out. There's been I don't know if it was this place that I had heard about before or if it was like other locations, because I feel like railroads are also known for being
railroads
haunted.
are really a big thing.
I'm curious if it's because there's a lot of like electrical current going through them for the trains and stuff.
Plus it can, like, whatever's going on can transfer through the train track. Probably.
Yeah, which there's a story that I have that kind of proves that a little bit.
I don't know anything about this one beyond the name, but it reminded me of the lights that I went and saw that I can't remember the name of right now.
At Whitaker Point?
No, that's not. Whitaker Point has nothing to do with that. That's in
We
Fayetteville.
covered the lights in another episode.
Yeah, but I can't remember what it's called. Because it's over by Atkins.
I swear we're going to know it as soon as we see it.
It's not the Dover Lights.
We knew that.
I knew that, yeah. Yeah, it reminded me of the Dover Lights, of course. I don't know.
I want to go investigate that place.
We can.
That place seems... We're just going to have a whole ass list of places that we need to go to. So this one is the Gurdon, I'm assuming Gurdon Light. So now we travel south to the stretch of abandoned railway near the quiet town of Gurdon. Locals have seen it for nearly a century, a strange floating orb of light weaving between the trees just off the tracks. It dances, flickers, sometimes it vanishes, only to reappear right behind you. They call it the Gurdon Light, and legends say it's the spirit of a murdered railroad worker named Will McLean. In 1930s, Will was bludgeoned to death with a railroad spike during a dispute with a fellow worker. His body was left near the tracks. Some say his head was never found. This is all alleged, by the way. This has not been proven. And so
that's not a great way to go.
Yeah. And so he searches. They say the light is his lantern, his ghost, endlessly pacing the tracks he once walked in life. There is another ghostly theory that has less actual evidence but remains a favorite with local college students and ghost seekers, perhaps because it involves a decapitation.
Yeah, but so his head was missing.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. This legend claims that a man who was working for the railroad accidentally fell into the path of an oncoming train and was killed. They found his body, but not his head. Some say the light is the lantern of that man's ghost as well. He is walking around the track, still trying to find his lost head. I'm assuming either way, it is a man walking around who's lost his head. He's trying to find his head.
That makes me think of Fried Green Tomatoes, though. The movie.
Why?
Because the guy loses his leg and dies in the beginning.
Oh, I will have. I don't know if I've had to have watched that.
You had to have watched that movie.
It's just been a minute. I don't have the best of memory.
It's got Idgie Thurgood. She's the elderly lady, and she's telling the other lady about the story.
I'm gonna have to rewatch this movie now.
It's really good.
My memory is not the greatest.
We knew that.
Yeah. At one point, there was a belief that the lights were somehow a reflection of headlights from nearby interstates. However, this idea has been proven to be false. For one, the Gurdon lights were known to locals long before the existence of the interstate. Secondly, a local professor from nearby Henderson State University studied this theory extensively and determined that there is no way for the lights to be reflections or a mirage lights. Unlike many other ghostly phenomena in Arkansas, the Gurdon light is not just a folktale. It has been seen by countless people, documented in photos and on video. Its existence is generally accepted by even the most skeptical. There is no shortage of eerie accounts. Locals speak of nights when the light appears suddenly glowing blue or white, swaying like it's being carried. Hikers have said it's followed them, always at a distance, but never letting them out of its reach. Some witnesses describe seeing two lights, one bright and still, and the other circling it, as if searching. One chilling encounter tells of a teenager who reached to touch the light, only for it to vanish and reappear farther down the tracks, pulsing faster. They say he ran, but the light stayed just behind him until he reached the edge of town. Skeptics point to piezoelectric energy released by quartz under the ground. There is something with Arkansas and quartz. But Gurdon's residents know better. Whatever it isn't natural. And if you stand on the tracks long enough, the light will find you. There has got to be something with these freaking quartz, man. Quartz and limestone. Mainly quartz in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that makes me very curious, too, to think about if Arkansas is kind of a hot spot. Because, I mean, you got to think about it, the Crescent Hotel. And that's named one of the most, like, I think America's most haunted hotel.
One of them, yeah.
And so it makes me wonder, like, how much quartz has to play in the...
There has to be quartz all over the place in Arkansas. There has to be. It's just a natural occurring mineral here. But yeah, so there's been a lot of people who have experienced this phenomena, and they just don't know exactly what the light is coming from and what exactly happened by the person. I do feel like someone had died on the railroad tracks. I was able to find a Reddit story from somebody who had a very similar experience with a light, but this was in Crest City, and where they're from in Crest City, it's called the Crest City Light, but it's very, very similar to the Gurdon Light, but it's only an hour down the tracks. So I'm curious if it's linked somehow.
Yeah, like it's almost, which would make sense because if it's energy passing through the tracks.
Yeah, because people had responded to this because it was just like a whole thread of people asking like about their Arkansas stuff with this. And the person said that they had this experience and they're like, oh, I've never heard of the Crest City Lights. I've only heard of the Gurdon Lights.
Yeah.
But it's like dang near this same exact story, just an hour south from it. So it's from Grandma Caesar, and she says, I had heard the story of the Crest City Light since I was a child. Crest City was a whistle shop on the rail line between southwest Arkansas and Shreveport. No stores, no houses, not even a wide spot on the road. Supposedly the rail crossing there was haunted by the specter of a man searching for his head, lost in a tragic railway accident. The ghost would appear as a mysterious floating light late at night. Same exact thing as the Gurdon Light.
Exact story.
There were several eyewitnesses all claiming that when they saw the light, their car suddenly wouldn't start. And it was rumored that the light actually got in the car with a local policeman. But alcohol always played a part in the story, even with the cop. So I tended to shrug it off as a bit of a small town sci-fi. However, it was nice for the occasional double date with a high school friend. We'd carry the ladies out Highway 29, turn west onto a dark gravel country road, and park next to a train crossing with no lights or cross arms. Not even a street light.
At least they're not parking on the train track.
Yeah, that would be kind of dumb. Yeah. Of course, we never saw the Crest City Light. That's just stupid. About 35 years ago, Gilbert and I were out on a Saturday night. Sunday morning, more or less. And yes, we had been drinking. It was about 1 a.m. and we were in my little Plymouth. Our back road wanderings brought us not to the Crest City train tracks, but to the stop sign on the east side, the opposite side of Highway 29. Still about half a mile away from the tracks, and without warning, the car died. I tried to crank it. It would barely turn over. I tried again to start. Only the groan of the starter pulling on a near dead battery. The headlights faded away, down to a dull orange glow. Well, hell, what are we going to do now? Nothing really to do. In a time before cell phones, we couldn't call for a tow. But look, I said, here comes a car from across the highway. Maybe he can give us a jump. We watched what appeared to be a car with one headlight creep very slowly and very quietly up the gravel road towards us. Then about 20 yards, the headlight just floated off into the woods and faded from sight. I don't know how long we watched it. It kind of felt like time was suspended, but when it was gone, my car cranked right up.
Wow.
I think that was the Gurdon Light dude or Crest City Light dude being like, I exist, by the way.
You might not believe me, but I'm here.
But I'm going to make you believe. Gotcha.
I feel like that would be you as a ghost.
Just
fucking with people.
Yeah. Just like, I'm not going to harm you. I'm just going to stall your car to, get your heart pumping a little bit.
Make sure
and
you're
then
still
be
alive.
like, oh, gotcha. And then your car turned back on.
Lord have mercy.
That would most definitely be me as a ghost.
Absolutely. So this next one is a little bit of a sad one. This is a place that Ashley and I have gone to a couple of times. I'm going to be talking about Petty Jean. No, I think most people know of Petit Jean. The mountain.
Especially if you're from Arkansas.
Yeah. High atop the windswept bluffs of Arkansas stands Petit Jean Mountain, a place of breathtaking beauty and heartbreaking legend, which is very true. Anyone who is familiar with the area knows about the mountain's name, and they'll likely tell you about the romantic tale of a brave young woman who crossed an ocean in disguise only to find both love and loss at the heart of the American wilderness. This is a legend of Petit Jean. The story takes us back to the 1700s when a French noblewoman, just kidding, not noblewoman, when a French nobleman, his name has been lost to variations over the time, Chavez, Chevet, or Jean-Jacques Chavez, set sail for the New World as a part of an exploratory expedition. Unwilling to be separated from him, his young woman, Adrian?
Yeah, looks like Adrian.
Dunmount, his devoted fiancé, made a bold and dangerous decision. She cut her hair, donned clothes as a cabin boy, and boarded the ship under the name Jean. Oh. Because of her slight frame and youthful appearance, the crew affectionately nicknamed her Petit Jean, Little Jean.
Oh, like petite.
Mm-hmm. The ruse worked for some time. Upon reaching Arkansas, the expedition traveled deep into the wilderness, eventually ascending a rugged, forested plateau. But something went wrong. Petit Jean became seriously ill. Though no version of the legend agrees on what exactly afflicted her, some say it was swamp fever she contracted while nursing her beloved back to health. Others describe her symptoms of fever, convulsions, delirium, and then silence. It was during this time that her secret came to light. Some say she revealed her identity with her final breath, asking her lover's forgiveness. Others say it was he who recognized her green eyes betraying the truth she tried to hide.
Whoa. So you're telling me her lover didn't even recognize her for the longest time?
She probably tried to stay away as much as possible.
I'd hope so, because if you don't recognize your lover, even if they cut their hair.
And are wearing boy clothes, probably oversized to hide any...
But still... suspicious. I feel like he knew.
He might have. Well, he also might have, but knew that she would be in trouble if he said something.
Yeah, that's also very true.
In a particularly tragic version, she watched her lover ride off to build their new life in a distant settlement, too sick to follow and too proud to ask for help. Whatever the version, most endings are the same. Adrian Petit Jean died far from home on the very mountain that would bear her name. She was buried there atop the cliffs overlooking the Arkansas River. Decades later, a mound was discovered, still believed by many to be her final resting place.
That's the one that's gated off, right?
That's
it
her
has
grave.
like a little gate around it.
Yeah, that's her grave.
What a view.
It is an absolutely gorgeous view. And I went through pictures because
She's the only one buried up on that mountain, right?
Yes. I went through pictures trying to find a picture of her grave, which I'm sure we can find it on the internet, but I was going through our pictures.
Or one of us have one.
I could not find one through our pictures because I went through both of our Facebooks looking for pictures when I made that graphic to post. I could not find a single picture of her grave, and I know between you and I, we had to have taken one.
I'm sure I did. I probably just didn't upload it. Okay.
Because it's got a little black gate, and it's got flowers.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. But her story doesn't just end with the grave. According to local folklore, Petit Jean's spirit still lingers on the mountain. On quiet nights, some say you can hear her. That's not what that says. On quiet nights, some say you can see her. A ghostly figure in the moonlight drifting silently through the trees near her tomb.
Oh, but that's pretty.
Others speak of strange lights flickering around the burial site, or a sudden chill that creeps in when no wind is blowing. Is it the echo of undying love, or a restless soul still waiting to live the life that she never got to live?
Oh.
The legend of Petit Jean is many things, a tale of courage, disguise, and devotion, and heartbreak. And though historians may argue over the details, those who have stood atop the mountain, silent at night, know one thing for sure. Some things refuse to stay buried.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been to Petit Jean, if you've ever seen the lights, seen her, please tell us your story.
Yeah. Yeah, or any experiences with any of these that we've talked about.
Yes, absolutely. I don't have any spooky Petty Jean stories, but I will say every time I go there, it always feels very peaceful and ominous. Like there's not a danger, but it's definitely a story untold, I feel like.
The only way I can... Is somber the right word?
Somber, I think, would, yeah.
Because it's not like... It's just kind of... Like the last time we went, granted we got there in the morning, it was very misty, very overcast, very just kind of sad. Not sad, but just...
Well, it's always, I feel like, up top too. Like when because the first place, you drive up the mountain. You don't hike up the mountain. You drive up the mountain.
Thank God.
And then the first stop is her overlook where she's got her grave. And it overlooks the Arkansas River, and you can see all of the different like lands and the farmlands and stuff like that. And I feel like there specifically, it's always very chilling. And then there are other places along the mountain that you can drive off to. Like there are the Turtle Rocks, the Bear Caves, a gorgeous like outdoor church. And then there's Cedar Falls, where you actually hike down to the waterfall.
That's a cool one. I will say it is kind of a strenuous hike.
Yes.
Mainly coming back up. So.
Yeah, going down is fine. And honestly, for me, who is someone who is completely out of shape, going back up is fine until you get to like the very end
there,
where it's got the switchbacks and like the steps. It's the steps that kill me.
Yep. Because you're just going like this back up.
And I have to stop so much.
We all did. But yeah, it's beautiful. We'll post photos of that too. But yeah, I would definitely recommend going there if you guys haven't.
Absolutely.
It's very beautiful.
Even if you don't go down to Cedar Falls, there is an overlook that you can go to where it's just like a little tiny short walk, and you can see like up top where the falls are.
Yep.
And if you're going to do that, I definitely recommend going after a good rain. So it's really going. But regardless, go see her grave.
Yeah. It's very good views. Very good views.
Beautiful.
But yeah.
That is episode 17. Those are the lights, the railways, the mountains.
Yeah. If you guys have any other Arkansas urban legends that you know about that you want us to cover and research and talk about, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, because we've done the Dover Lights, but we can always touch back on it if we need to. And maybe...
I mean, heck, there was even more about the Crescent Hotel. There was a lot of little urban legends throughout Arkansas. Arkansas is just a very spooky and haunted place.
I genuinely, I wonder if it has something to do with the quartz.
It has to. It has to. It magnifies everything.
Yeah, but I would love for us to brainstorm a little bit for our season 2 episode. See if we maybe we go to one of these places.
Yeah.
And do an episode there.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Let us know any of your spooky stories.
Yes.
And we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for calling the Afterlife Hotline, where the ghosts are chatty and the hosts are, well, questionable at best. Press 1 to replay this episode and question your life choices. Press 2 to summon us back next week. No Ouija board required. Press 3 to hang up, but let's be real, something's probably still listening. That's it for this call, but don't worry. We're like ghosts, we always come back. Until next time, stay spooky, stay weird, and maybe don't answer that strange knock at your door. Goodbye!